Hello friends, this is getting very interesting and I'm tired of hearing nonsense about what is going on, and I've taken the trouble to investigate what's going on behind the official news. Opinion article: thus the dance starts. The bad guys will dance with the ugliest one. There is still a lot of fabric to be cut. Are they preparing a Christmas present? General Jeff Rosen will take Barr's place. Collect signatures to demand the Insurrection Law. Such a law would change the current political situation. The first window is from 18 to 24 December. The second window would be after January 6th. President prepares sanctions against Canada. No one can be declared as long as there are legal proceedings. Let's start. How many times do I have to repeat it? Nothing is over or lost forever. Yesterday I reported on what happened yesterday, not tomorrow. But this novel has many more chapters left, many more cards to play, and not all of them will go in the same direction. The Capitol legislative buildings, were closed Monday, and some officials claimed health cautions. But State Senate spokesman said there was a credible threat of violence. In addition, the president ordered all executive agencies to close down on 24 December. Under the president's executive order, agency and executive department heads may determine that certain offices or facilities in their organizations remain open and that certain employees must report to work on December 24 for reasons of national security, defense, or other public need. Christmas present. Today, Don Carlos de Marbella informed that the president is preparing a Christmas present. He would have signed an executive order, the contents of which would be announced on Christmas Eve. He didn't know exactly what this order implied, except that banks would be closed for 4 days for the Christmas holidays and would reopen under a new financial system. Too beautiful to believe in it all. The most direct strategy would be to throw in the middle, as we say here, and resort to the military. But the military option is the last thing I would do, because everyone would turn against him and paint him as Charles Chaplin's great dictator, even though he could do so legally with his 2018 executive order on foreign interference in the electoral process. Just yesterday, an official petition was opened to the White House, which needs to collect 93,836 signatures by 31st December on 2020 to obtain a response from the White House. It's a petition to declare that there is an insurrection to overthrow the will of the people and calls for the use of military tribunals. This official petition calls for the application of the Insurrection Act of 1807 and all other legal devices available to suppress insurrection. The Insurrection Law would allow the president to use the military and the National Guard as a police force in case of terrorist acts, natural disasters, and public disorder that cannot be contained by the state police. Military courts. An indication of the hypothesis is that General Jeff Rosen will take the place of William Barr and that his new deputy is Richard Donaghy, a former military judge, which evidences a replacement of civilian jurist by military jurist. Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen will be the acting Attorney General. Donaghy served in the U.S. Army Judge Advocate General Corps, where he was a military judge, prosecutor, defense counsel, and contract litigator. He also served in the 82nd Airborne Division. The Supreme Court held that military courts are not part of the federal judiciary under Article 111, but are simply agencies of the executive under Articles 1 and 11. It therefore held that the constitutional limitations on the federal courts do not apply to a military court. And there is a lot of fabric to be cut. No one has proclaimed anyone yet, or declared. The Electoral College has simply voted for a presumed winner, but there are many more legal steps to be taken until the definitive declaration, as I explained yesterday, because on a legal level, no one can be declared while there are legal proceedings open, and there are many with more than 1,000 witnesses. As El Diestro says, it is probable that after the hype of the world's media manipulation, many people believed that today the president would get up at the first tower and say, although they have cheated in these elections, I am throwing in the towel and leaving. Well, their joy is in a well, since there is still a lot of cloth to be cut, and there are still many things to be seen on January 6th, or perhaps earlier. 3 dates. To say that I contradict what other channels have said is as stupid as a pineapple tree, because I only reported objectively on what happened yesterday, not on what will happen tomorrow. And this tomorrow has 3 dates. First, the first day could be the Great Conjunction of December 21st, an extremely powerful day to initiate any action. Second, the second day could be the Christmas on December 25th. And the third day could be January 6th, Three Kings Day, which is precisely when the electoral votes are officially certified, with a wide margin until January 20th, when the new president would be sworn in. According to Stephen Miller, the only date in the Constitution is 20th January. So we have more than enough time to correct mistakes in the election results. As we speak today, an alternative list of voters in the battleground states will be voting, and we will send those results to Congress. The state's legislature of Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania can do the same. And in the same way, Congress also has the opportunity to do the right thing, he added. Military deployment. The president appears to be on the verge of invoking the Insurrection Act and deploying special operation forces to carry out mass arrests of rogue operatives across the United States. Military tribunals are probably not far behind, and this is what General Michael Flynn said today through Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business. According to Mike Adams, military sources say a 10-day lockdown is imminent, during which special operation forces are expected to wage an internal war against treacherous enemies who would be detained by military tribunals. The timeline for this action is not certain, but it seems that 2 windows are coming together, and that the predictions of other sources coincide with mine more or less. First, the first window would be from 18 to 24 December. Second, the second window would be immediately after January 6th. But I believe more in the second window than in the first one, because of what other sources have said. The ballot would not be open until January 6th, when the Senate and the House will be in a joint session chaired by Vice President Mike Pence. There were expected to be strong objections to the vote in all 4 battleground states, and that those objections, the decision on who won the 2020 election, would be turned over to a Republican-controlled Senate, which would give 1 vote per state to determine who would be the next president. Demands. Sidney Powell currently has 4 lawsuits pending in the Supreme Court based on conclusive evidence of foreign interference in these elections. He believes that the president needs to activate his 2018 executive order and probably appoint a special lawyer, because there are serious problems of foreign influence with this voting machine. And Sidney Powell added to the intrigue in a recent interview with Lou Dobbs, saying, in dots, "We know that $400 million came into Stomatic from China just a few weeks before the election, and there are Don George connections to all the effort. Frankly, our National Security Agency and our Defense Intelligence Agency need to be aware of all this immediately. The evidence is overwhelming and is extremely worrying that this has happened, and it didn't start this year." Chinese invasion. As revealed on this channel, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau allowed the Canadian Army to help train Chinese Communist soldiers in winter warfare tactics in supposed preparation for a US ground invasion. This places Trudeau in the category of enemy combatant, and the president is preparing to lift huge economic and trade sanctions against Canada in response to the betrayal. On Monday, December 14th, Judy Bington mistakenly said that, according to Hal Turner radio program last week, 50,000 Chinese military were defeated by special operation forces when they attempted to invade Maine across the Canadian border. She was misinformed and apologizes for the misinformation. China would have long had the goal of the complete destruction of the United States, and the Chinese Communist Party cannot achieve that goal unless it can first cause many casualties among military personnel, after which a land invasion through Canada would be much easier to accomplish. Suddenly, the so-called Operation Warp Speed would make even more sense. Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper chose companies connected to China to supply millions of doses that would be administered to harm military personnel. General Perna publicly declared that the inoculations would be applied in the army as a D-Day, further claiming that they would be the beginning of the end. This would sound like a pure treason. There are black hat forces within the Department of Defense, but also white hat forces. It is said that the white hats have superiority over the black hats, and that they control the Congress constitutionally. The Great Epoch, which has strong links with Chinese dissidents, can confirm this information. The Inter-Parliamentary Alliance of China, a global coalition of lawmakers, obtained the database of unidentified Chinese dissident and then shared the material with 4 media organizations, according to a December 12th report by the British newspaper The Mail. The CCP allegedly created the biological weapon and uses its spies to infiltrate and compromise the manufacturers in order to make inoculations that would harm a large number of people. News in brief. 1/3 of the world's population is not receiving aid due to the crisis. Some 2.7 billion people, more than a third of the global population, have not received any public support to cope with the effects of the health crisis, according to an analysis released on Tuesday by Oxfam Intermon. Record number of journalists jailed in 2020. A record number of journalists has been jailed in 2020, according to the data released Tuesday by the Committee of Project Journalists, with governments around the world repressing media coverage of the health crisis or suppressing information about civil unrest around the globe. Forensic report in dots. We conclude that the voting system is intentionally and deliberately designed with inherent flaws to create massive and systemic fraud and influence election results. Reveals the forensic report on Dominion voting systems, machines, and software in Michigan. Algorithms that discriminate. Machines deciding who receives a subsidy or in which neighborhood police surveillance should be strengthened. Artificial intelligence can perpetuate and reinforce prejudice, as the European Union warns in a report published today. A treasure hunter is serving 5 years in prison for refusing to reveal the whereabouts of the millionaire's loot. Thompson claims he has no recollection of the whereabouts of the 500 gold coins, but authorities believe he simply refuses to cooperate. Thompson, a treasure hunter, served 5 years behind bars on December 15th for refusing to reveal the whereabouts of some of the gold coins he found aboard the ship SS Central America, which sank in 1857 with large quantity of gold on board. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot and take care. Bye bye.